think I saw the work of Shepard because he was using the name André, and I had people who used to go to New York and say, there's a guy who sticks your name all over, is that you? So that's the first time I heard about him. And then later on, we met through a common friend, Frank, Space Invader, and I went to LA, Shepard took me out, we went out in Paris, and since then, and we met in Tokyo also. We've been like following each other since years, I think.
And when you say he took you out, it wasn't to go drink, it was to go out and to bomb Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, he took me to to climb on dangerous places, and but also to drink after. We did both.
Yeah, I met, well, I first saw Andre's work in Tokyo. I was there in 2000, and there was this character, the Mr. A character, that stood out from all the other graffiti that was all around the cool neighborhoods, Harajuku and Roppongi, and you were up in a lot of neighborhoods, and so Shibuya. So you know, I didn't know Andre yet, but then I was walking around, and my wife and I, well, it was my girlfriend at the time, stopped at a store because we saw somebody in there selling homemade t-shirts of Space Invader and then wallpaper, and it was Andre, and then he had that character, and I said, oh, what's the deal with this character? He said, oh, it's my character. And I said, oh, I know Space Invader, and then we started talking, and yeah, I asked him you know, what he was up to, and he said riding his scooter around and putting graffiti up and selling some t-shirts, and I said, that sounds good, that's what I like to do that stuff too, so that was that.
That piece came from, first of all, when we began talking together, doing the collaboration here and do a show and find what we could do, and then at the same moment I was working in a show in New York where I did a full city in a kind of medium scale size, and so I thought maybe I could use one of those imaginary buildings or nightclubs and construct it in here, and it would be a bridge because it's a bit skyscraper, so it would be a bridge between my imagination and my world and a New York skyscraper. So we had this really mix between America meets my little French imagination.
Shep, how about your piece?
Well, when we were talking about this, and Andre said, well, I'm going to do stuff inspired by signage and cityscapes. I'm inspired by signage a lot also, but I'm also inspired by music. So what I thought was, oh, well, I'll create some sort of a modular construction that maybe has a cityscape feel mixed with music elements like speakers and record players and crates of records. And then you pointed out that James Murphy was doing a tower of speakers.
Yeah, he beat you.
So like, well, I guess I can't do that right after he just did that. So I think when you and I were talking, you talked about the Cologne Maurice, and of course, in my argument with the police frequently in the United States when I'm being arrested is, well, in the US there's no places where posters are allowed on the street. In Europe they have those towers, and we need to have those here, otherwise it's just advertising. And I know that now most of those towers are paid advertising, but when they were originally conceived it was for anyone to just go put up a poster. And so I like that tradition from Paris, and I think it's a really iconic piece, and for me to be able to use my medium, which is pasted up posters, collaged, using that presentation, I think it's a logical fit, and it works with what Andre was doing. So that was the logic.
But this is actually the first time that you've worked together on a collaborative project. What was that process like? Tell the truth.
Yeah, joyful actually. No, first of all, it was like kind of happy and proud to do something with Shepard here in Paris. It's a kind of my hometown in a way. And even if we painted outside together and we did things, it was really like happy to sit there at least together, staying in an official space for once.
Yeah, I really like Andre's work and always have fun hanging out with him. So for me, it was just a good excuse to get to hang out with Andre and do stuff with Andre. That was nice. But you know, I draw inspiration from a lot of different things. So the way I'm pretty easygoing about this stuff, because no matter how different our styles are, if Andre says this is what I'm thinking, I always think, well, I can do something that works with that in my own style. And so when Andre showed me the trucker jacket that he was doing that was inspired by, you know, gang jackets, biker jackets, that's iconography that I like as well. But you know, I pulled from my rock and roll influence, because you know that kind of iconography is in rock and roll as well. So we were able to do things that both represent our own style, but also, you know, work together.
Right. And let's talk about the trucker jacket for a second, because I know something that was very dear to you when we asked you if you would do it. This is your piece, obviously. Can you talk to us? Can you tell us about the thinking behind this? Because you were really the driver behind this piece.
No, okay. First of all, I always love, even if I'm not wearing any trucker jackets right now, I always like them. And the inspiration was, yeah, all the gang jackets that you can have, but then put in this little metaphysic, was misspelled by the way, and was more poetic and like beyond what physics can be, to something with more down to earth or even underground. Like, it was a bit the idea to take an aesthetic to a more poetic side. That was the idea from the beginning, and something I would wear myself. So.
Right, that helps.
Okay, yeah.
And then Shep, with yours, obviously leaning on your musical influences.
Yeah, so Viva La Rock, not only is it, I wanted to use phrases that people that speak English or French would relate to, and Sid Vicious of the Sex Pistols used to wear a Viva La Rock t-shirt that Vivienne Westwood designed for him, and my daughter's named Vivian after Vivienne Westwood. You know, it's the gang rock and roll style, but you know, mixed with some music iconography and French slogans. But you know, once again, there's some phrases that I use all the time that are French phrases that I think you become maybe a little bit numb to the origin, but you know, tour de force, coup d'état, vive la rock, these are things that I use all the time. So that's what I incorporated into the pieces that I did.
Of course, yeah. In different ways, and then every artist is different, but the fact that just graffiti is illegal just from there, it's a statement. After, not every graffiti artist have a real opinion, and it's not about that, it's just an attitude. That attitude who is against, well, let's say a system is by itself politics.
Yeah, the Marshall McLuhan phrase, the medium is the message. With graffiti, it's an act of defiance. So the message is, I will not be told what to do, how to live my life. You know, I won't be put in a box. And even if it's not commenting on specific issues, I think that the idea that the public has free will and will not be easily corralled is a great deterrent to those oppressive forces. So just in that simple essence, I think it's really great. And you know, the idea that you won't just be a cog in the workforce that's helping someone else produce and make a profit, that you know, that what you do, that you have a fun character who, the character himself looks like he's saying, I'm doing what I want, fuck you, you know? That's great. There's this free-spiritedness to it that's awesome. I mean, for me, for years I wanted to make work that was about making people question the relationship between advertising and art and propaganda and the control of public space, and I wanted to be somewhat open-ended with this image here. But then when George Bush was elected, I thought maybe I need to be more direct. So, you know, but I think it's different for everyone, and I think that if everyone were in tune with their own self-expression, we'd have a much better world. So graffiti artists obviously are doing that, so that's the first step.